Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Mr. Ben Jacobs from CBS Sports. Listen, firstly, yesterday you did a great job. Really enjoyed doing the video with you. And you're back today by popular demand, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Milk the popular demand. It never lasts during a transfer window.
Well, let's go for it, man. Man United signed Tyrell Malacia, right? Now, I want you to tell us a little bit about the former Feyenoord defender and how the deal has gone through and, what you think Man United should expect of the defender.
Obviously, he's only 22. That's the first thing to say. So expectations are going to develop over time, but it's a statement signing, less in the sense the player himself is a statement signing, but it's an early indication of Erik Ten Hag's involvement in transfer dealings. And I think one of the most telling things about this deal is that Malacia has said straight off the bat that it's his good connection with the manager, who he deems a warm person. And for Manchester United to have good connections and a warm manager, that's not really something that they've been used to in times gone by. So it's the type of player and it's the move that intrigues me the most rather than the instant potential. And Manchester United fans may see this and say, well, we need a finished product. And you don't necessarily get that with Malacia. But at 22, the Dutch international has a huge amount of potential and versatility. So he loves getting forwards. That's the first thing to say. He's a very attack-minded player. He, at times, has an overconfidence, which can be both good and bad. Defensively, he's very difficult to get past. There's not too many players on one-on-ones that beat him. But the decision-making, especially at Premier League pace, still has room for improvement. And the defensive positioning as well, I'm sure, will be worked on by Ten Hag. So he clearly sees and recognizes opportunities and also danger coming the other way. But what you'll find is he gets dragged at times into central spaces, often to kind of cut across and offer protection ahead of a centre-back or just pulled out of position. And that can be beneficial because it can stop, for example, a number 10 or an out-and-out forward moving on the half turn. But at times, and again at Premier League pace, and with his opposite number bombing forwards, he may have to learn to be a little bit more disciplined. And the good news is that discipline is in his bag. So it's about controlled aggression rather than out-and-out aggression. And it's about ensuring that overconfidence at times on the football field doesn't prove to be detrimental in a defensive sense. So I think that he has the athleticism and the physicality, and at the price Manchester United have paid, it's a really exciting signing. But what is more important is not just his arrival as the first under Erik Ten Hag, but the fact that immediately the first incoming is saying how important this manager is to recruitment. And I think Manchester United fans with a view to other deals can be very, very excited by that.
Now, what I think is very interesting, I'm not going to act like I was watching the Dutch league last year and I know all about him, but from the bits that I have seen, especially looking at the heat map, he does a lot of his business in the third half of the pitch. I remember telling some of the people that I'm with here in the office that he reminds me of a skillful Patrice Evra, like loads of tech, etc. For me, I wonder how far that's going to get you in the Premier League. And I say that because it's a lot more fast, it's a lot more direct. You don't have as much time on the ball as you do in other leagues. I can see here his career path. Obviously, he's been in the Feyenoord youth team from 2008 to 2015. Then he went to the under-17s, obviously under-19s. He's broken through. He's played 5 international games for Holland. Stats by Feyenoord: 199 games, 7 goals, 12 assists, 29 yellow cards, and 2 red cards. So again, these are just additional stats and information. He's got a Dutch Cup title. He's got a Dutch Super Cup as well. And the price was quoted as £14.7 million. Is that, would there be add-ons on top of that, or is that the final price? What's going on in that situation?
So in pounds, even though you might see it quoted in euros, it's going to be 13 million up front with a further 2 million on top. So 15 million all in, which, like I say, is an excellent price And Manchester United obviously hijacked a deal that was almost complete with Lyon in order to change the player's mind. And again, part of that is the involvement of Ten Hag. And you've ran through the stats, and I think that the yellow and red cards illustrate that need for controlled aggression. As you say, the heat map very abundantly makes it clear that he loves to get forward. When you actually look at how he gets forwards, he can still be a little bit more creative. He tends to move forwards and receive the ball in relatively predictable areas. And then from there, he's got a lot of talent. He's a very, very strong, or relatively strong and creative passer. But the areas where he can improve, I think, are around that ability to make a slightly more intrepid or unexpected or gut instinct run off the ball. And Ten Hag will again look to get that out of him. But it's a really interesting signing in the sense that at Premier League pace and the standard Manchester United play at, he may first be curbed before he's encouraged to express himself. So everybody wants a left back who can get forwards and dig in defensively. But Manchester United's priority, especially with the arrival of Christian Eriksen, who I think, as I said yesterday, can play alongside Bruno, and at the moment anyway, CR7 up front, they will want their fullback to be part of attacking phases, but they'll also just want to strengthen a more traditional defensive line. And that's why controlling him first and making sure he's aware of his positional sense might be the priority. And then from there, there's that opportunity surrounded by talent to kind of move forwards in different areas than he did at Feyenoord. He's clearly got a range of versatility in his bag, and that is the appeal to Ten Hag. And he comes from that Dutch style of football that Ten Hag obviously wants to try and integrate at Manchester United. So he's right up there for me as a hot young prospect, but there's areas of the game that need to be polished. And he's sometimes compared to Royston Drenthe, who was maybe a player with a bit more personality on the football field, and Ten Hag again will try and ingrain that into him. And by personality on the field, I don't mean that glibly. I mean, it's about how you showcase your creativity in a sensible manner and how you use a bit more of the gut instinct without taking risks. And there's still that risk-reward element to Malacia's game, which leads to the number of assists that you've alluded to, but at Premier League level could be exposed. So I think you have to teach him how to play in a Manchester United back line as and when opportunities arise, develop him on the training field, make sure that that decision-making defensively is there at Premier League pace, and then start to build the attacking game back, because that's his gut instinct. He always wants to try and get forwards. It's that energy and the aggression that is of appeal to Ten Hag. And Drenthe was very similar. He had a bit more kind of swagger. He perhaps was able to find those creative positions a bit more naturally. And I think you'll also see Malacia compared to Owen Wijndal, who is kind of like the Dutch go-to for like a left back. And there are some stats between them, even though they're not like for like in style, that are very interesting, particularly the expected goal contributions per 90 minutes. And those two players are very similar in that respect, which again tells you that he is going to create Manchester United attacking opportunities and be directly involved in goals from the back. So he'll need time, definitely not a finished product signing, but Manchester United fans no doubt will just be glad to get one officially through the door, with Christian Eriksen to follow very soon.
Now, I think it's really interesting, obviously, that he shares Frankie de Jong as an agent. Well, they have the same agent basically as Frankie de Jong. What does this currently mean for Luke Shaw, Telles, and Brandon Williams?
Yeah, I mean, there's suddenly a range of players, isn't there, now at Manchester United in that kind of area that you start wondering if they're surplus to requirements. And Manchester United are definitely going to have outgoings. We know that anyway. The question is just when and who. So Maguire will glean a lot of their headlines, but my understanding remains that Ten Hag wants to still integrate him into this new style of football and see how he goes and whether his form consistency and confidence improves. With Luke Shaw, I think he's under serious pressure at Manchester United. And although from Ten Hag's point of view, He may argue that there's kind of depth with all of these players that we've mentioned. A lot is kind of on the players' shoulders now, because it's a crossroads style of situation where players like Luke Shaw may not get guarantees of game time, and there's competition suddenly. And I think that Ten Hag will want to take a look at somebody like Luke Shaw up close and personal. But with Shaw himself, what does the player want? Is that desire there to fight for the place? Or if an offer comes in, is he one that could be offloaded away? And for now, I think that Shaw is more likely, in my opinion, to stay comparative to, say, an Eric Bailly, who is almost certain to leave, and some of the other players in different positions will go as well. With, I think, Shaw, it's a little bit more different, in my opinion, only because from what I understand, Ten Hag still rates him. And as a consequence, it's far more likely that he'll be looked at under the new manager rather than just immediately added to a list that will kind of be shipped out. And the reason for that, I think, is because when Shaw plays, he's kind of one of Manchester United's more progressive players, and he's been key to how the team builds from the back and then tries to break through that central midfield area. And therefore, there's a very useful joining role that Shaw at his best could play for Manchester United still, which is why I think that it might be a mistake to start listening to offers or letting him go. But it's so early in the window that it's very difficult to predict, because Manchester United have always maintained that their budget may not exceed, say, 115 million. And as a consequence, even with a few incomings, they may not want to lose a player like Shaw at this point, regardless of what the role is, simply because there isn't the budget there to just pull in the same volume of names as perhaps Arsenal and Chelsea or Manchester City are looking at. And if De Jong arrives, for example, at, let's say, 65 million, there's not a ton of budget to make too many other moves in the market without a huge fee for CR7. I think that a player like Martial falls into the same category as Shaw, that there's a role there in this Ten Hag system, at least to be looked at and assessed over the majority of this window before any final determinations are made. So I think Shaw and Martial are kind of safe for now, but it's a long, long window. And as and when offers come in, it's up to Ten Hag to learn quickly and work out who's a fit and who isn't to both the style of football and the culture. But when I watch Shaw at his best, I think he's integral to how Manchester United tick and break through opposition midfields and build forwards from the kind of deep midfield and the back through into attacking positions quickly. I think that he's got that integral unsung role to play when he's at his best of joining everything together.
You know, I think it's really interesting for you guys watching on the 5 socials. We did post earlier on, and it says by Tyrell, it says, Man United is one of the biggest clubs in the world. I'm proud, but also very grateful that I get the opportunity. I understand that I understand the work on every higher level only begins now. What I know is that I'm still young and I will continue to develop. I can promise the Man United fans that I will leave everything on the pitch every time I play and I put on a red shirt. I'll always be thankful to Feyenoord for all they have done and my family over there. So it looks like he's ready to go. Now, I've got a quick question, right? When it comes to CR7 Ronaldo, he didn't turn up for training yesterday. Looks like he hasn't turned up to training today. Are the Chelsea rumors true? You know, I've had quite a few conversations with different friends, different journalists, and you know, initially it sounded like it was just, you know, rumors. But I mean, Man United themselves said that they're not sure if he's going to be going on their pre-season tour.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing to say, I think I reiterated it yesterday, is given, unfortunately, what happened to Cristiano Ronaldo's family and the loss of a child, when family reasons are cited and accepted by Manchester United, we should be respectful of that and then talk about his future based on the uncertainty and the Mendes meeting with Todd Boehly and the fact that Bayern Munich and Napoli are interested. So let's hope that Cristiano's family situation is okay, and if it's linked to the future, as most people are obviously assuming and putting two and two together, then that is an indication that he wants out. Manchester United's stance is not for sale, but I think if Ronaldo actually finds a club and Mendes fixes that up for him, it's going to be very difficult for Manchester United not to sell. So we know that Manchester United don't want to sell to Chelsea, a direct Premier League rival. But by the same token, it doesn't help Ten Hag in a new era to have a 37-year-old unhappy, unsettled Ronaldo who has made it clear that he'd like to leave. So if the right offer comes in, I think it becomes a test of who's got more power. Cristiano Ronaldo with a 100% offer, or Manchester United because he's under contract and they say he's not for sale. And I think there's only one winner there, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo. The challenge is in finding a club. And at the moment, he doesn't have another option other than Manchester United that's 100% materialised. With Chelsea, Todd Boehly spoke directly to Mendes. Cristiano Ronaldo was discussed. And this is an interesting test of power in the same way that it might be Manchester United versus Ronaldo, Todd Boehly versus Thomas Tuchel could be something that we're talking about, because Chelsea's new American chairman and interim sporting director Boehly has said all along that Tuchel has the final say on transfers, and everything Boehly is doing at the moment anyway, until a new sporting director comes in, is being empowered entirely by Thomas Tuchel and Emma Hayes on the women's side. And Thomas Tuchel...
sorry to interrupt, Ben, but surely Tuchel, he's already got rid of Lukaku because he doesn't work hard enough. I'm not saying that Ronaldo doesn't work hard enough, but come on, you're going to have to be changing your whole playing style if you've got a 37-year-old Ronaldo. You know,
yeah, I do.
Does that really work for Tuchel? Does Tuchel even want him?
There's no indication at the moment that Tuchel wants Ronaldo. So the development on the Chelsea side is that Boehly met Mendes and at no point said he wanted Ronaldo, but it was discussed. And then since then, Chelsea have not put a formal proposal together, but it's being discussed. And internally within Chelsea, the majority owner, a private investment firm that have two primary board members, Clearlake Capital, who are in Santa Monica, and Boehly, have interest in Ronaldo, but they're saying, and there's no reason to think that this is disingenuous, they are going to talk to Thomas Tuchel first. And if Tuchel doesn't want Ronaldo, it will go no further. I don't think that Tuchel wants Ronaldo, and there's no football logic, as you've already outlined, for Tuchel to want Ronaldo. And Chelsea's primary targets are Raheem Sterling and possibly Rafinha if the Barcelona deal falls through. So 37-year-old Ronaldo at Chelsea doesn't make any sense to their system, especially, as you say, in light of the whole Romelu Lukaku saga. And therefore, it is logical to conclude that Tuchel will tell his ownership group he does not want Ronaldo, and that will be the end of it. But if Tuchel is persuaded for non-football reasons that Ronaldo is good for the football club, then that is Boehly and the new American-led consortium flexing their muscles. And therefore, whatever the PR is, if it happens, a Ronaldo move to Chelsea is for the brand, not the football club. I don't think it will happen, but if it happens, and I'll say it nice and early now, it will be because Ronaldo benefits the growth of Chelsea Football Club off the football field. On it, he'll be as much poison as he will be medicine. And that's what Thierry Henry said is the problem at Manchester United as well, that he scores the goals, and that's what you need. And with Lukaku leaving and only scoring 8 Premier League goals last season, obviously goals are needed, but Raheem Sterling should provide them, and also Rafinha were he to join, and possibly still other attack-minded targets. But the challenge with Ronaldo is the age and the impact on the dressing room. There'll be a positive aspect to it, but Ronaldo's not going to join Chelsea even for Champions League football unless he's integral. So then Tuchel has to develop a system around him, and that's counterproductive, as it has been at Manchester United as well, even if he scores 15 or 20 goals. So that's why I think Tuchel will put his foot down. And it's almost like an early indication of power. Tuchel will want to say no to Ronaldo, in my opinion, to test whether it is true that he has control over transfers. And if Ronaldo ends up at Chelsea, it's actually an indication that the ownership group are flexing their muscles. So it's one to watch, but I actually think that a move outside of the Premier League, if Ronaldo leaves, is more likely. Napoli are interested. A sensational return to Real still has reasonably low odds with the bookies. Barcelona, as they do with everything, are just sticking their name in, and that could end up being a story just to watch over the course of the coming few weeks. But from Manchester United's point of view, they need to just get clarity, because the point here is Ten Hag comes in, new era, new plans, new style, new culture. Ronaldo is either on board or not, and Manchester United need to make a clear determination early what their stance is and where Ronaldo stands, so this doesn't overshadow their pre-season and also the Ten Hag era. Otherwise, when a new signing like Martinez, who's choosing between United and Arsenal, or Eriksen, who's got a verbal agreement, so that is done now pending a medical, but players like that, they're all going to ask the same question before they decide if they're joining Manchester United. Am I playing with Ronaldo or not? And that will factor into their decision making. And if Manchester United do not have the answer to that question, then that will be detrimental to their entire summer transfer window and the new era that Ten Hag is trying to implement. So it's as important for Manchester United as it is for any suitors that want Ronaldo, that a quick determination on Ronaldo's future is determined.
Ben, thank you very much for your time today. I mean, for you guys watching, please let us know if you even agree with some of Ben's opinions, because obviously there's the journalistic side and then there's the footballing side that he offers as well, which is brilliant. But let us know what you think. Let us know who you want us to speak to as well. I want to say thank you very much to CBS Sports for letting you come on and have another great chat with us. I'll be honest with you, Ben, you'll be coming back on this week because we're on a roll here and there's so much more to discuss. And yeah, guys, let us know you know, what other transfer stories you want us to talk about. Please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Joel Beya, and I'm here signing out. I'll see you soon. Peace.